Awesome. Wow, this is amazing. Everybody feel the energy in this room? This is pretty cool. People have asked us to do like live streams of this event, and we're like, no, like we want people here. We want to fill up this room and for people to feel this energy, and it just matters to us. And so thank you all for leaving your busy lives to come here today and hang out with us for an hour and a half and eat some pizza. We are excited to get started. We've got a great agenda for today. At Birmingham AI, our mission is to accelerate the adoption of AI in Birmingham for all. That for all is a really important qualifier that we always talk about. We want these meetings to be accessible. We want AI to happen for everyone in this room, not to everyone in this room. So it matters a lot to us. Whose first meeting is this? Never been to a Birmingham AI meetup. It's awesome. That's great to see. Who came to our first meeting over 2 years ago? Let's go. That's awesome to see too. We love both of those groups, and we're so excited that you're here and that you're spending some time with us today. This meetup is only possible because of the sponsors that help us rent this space, help us work with the great Innovation Depot here, help us get pizza. And so I would like to welcome today's sponsor, Sparkhound, and Derek Helms to come and say a few words.
That'll work. Thanks, everybody. Can you hear me all right? Again, thanks to Will and Austin and the Birmingham AI team for having us out. I've been, coming to these things for, I guess, almost 2 years now. And man, it started with a couple of rows and now it's, standing room only. But again, I appreciate it. I think it's an exciting time for our community. I've been in here for 20 something years, to show my age a little bit. Started off, thought it was cool when we got off mainframes and, started client server, and then the cloud bust hit. And then now we have this AI discussion that's just everywhere. And, you can feel it, as to Will's point, all the projects we're doing with all the companies that are based here in Birmingham. It's just everybody's talking about it. It's been around a little bit, but now it's just more mainstream, and it's everybody's got their wheels turning. And that's kind of where Sparkhound fits in. I won't go into a ton of detail about us, but I won't read this off, but how we fit into this ecosystem as we're helping companies through this journey. We have teams that, like myself, that come in that's more about the strategy, how you're trying to do this as a vision, how you're trying to adopt it as a company, where you want to take it, how do you get better for your clients and your services. And then through that, we also have our tactical teams and our tech teams, whether it's our Microsoft groups that bring us in to do Copilot rollouts, strategy, that kind of stuff, our building agents for back office people, all the way to our full web mobile teams that build full deployments of LLMs and tie it into, you name it, your core systems. We've got that available. We've been here in Birmingham now about 10 years. We started 26 years ago out of Baton Rouge, and so between those two locations, we're kind of southeast based, roughly 200 engineers. So would love to have a chat with you. I'll put this up here. That's a link to my LinkedIn. We are hiring right now. We're looking for folks here in Birmingham. So if you're interested, hit us up, take some swag, connect with me. We take contractors, all the above. So again, thanks for having us out today. I'm very excited about the community and where this is going. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Derek. Really appreciate that. So some of you who got here a little bit early might have noticed that something was going on when you came in. And you might have been like, oh, am I late? No, you weren't late. We just had a video hackathon this morning. So who participated in the video hackathon this morning? Hands up. Awesome. Great. So we asked people to come at 10 o'clock this morning and create videos using AI. It could be a story that they wanted to tell. It could be a story for their brand. It could be a little marketing video for their brand. And so we had a lot of fun. We used tools like Google VO3, which we talked about last month, to create those videos. And now we get to announce the winners of the hackathon, which is fun. So we had two categories. The first category was best storytelling, and the winner of that was Rohit. Come on up and collect your prize. There you go. You go and stay up front. We're going to get a picture in just a second. And then we had a second category, which was most professional. So, obviously using these tools, it's difficult to make things look professional. Things fly in. A person changes into a dog, things like that. And and so the winner of this and the winner of our overall award goes to Katie. So Katie, please come up and accept the award. There you go. Congratulations. Stay up here for a picture. We're going to try to play her video. So fingers crossed that this works. So again, this was just created in the last 45 minutes here with one of these AI tools.
Insert AI. Continue.
Oh no. That's amazing, isn't it? Nick, could you come get a picture of the winners? Awesome. Love it. Yeah, come up here real quick. Let's do this. This could be you if you participate in our next hackathon. Come on up. Yes, Stephen. So just want to give a shout out to Lewis Communications, who sponsored the video hackathon this morning, and Stephen Curry. Awesome. Thank you so much. Congrats. That's so exciting. Let's see. Am I back in control of this thing yet? In 1 second. I don't think we need audio anymore today. Boom, there we go. Speaking of hackathons, Austin had this brilliant idea, and so today we're excited to announce our August hackathon. Before our August meetup, we're going to have a swagathon. We continue to get asked, how do I get one of those shirts? And we've only printed about 20 of them, and we've given them all away. So we need help creating the next version of our swag, and so we want to use AI to help us do this. Next month, before the main meetup, we're going to have a swagathon. The winning swag is going to be available for sale on our website, and so you'll be able to go there, get it, and now we can see a lot more Birmingham AI shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, etc. Around Birmingham, and we're super excited about that. Speaking of which, how can you sign up for this? There you go. There's a QR code. So go ahead and sign up for this. While you all are pulling up your phones, we have a couple other things on here. The next general meetup will be August 13th, and then we have an engineering breakout next Monday. So I'm going to invite Tarun up to say a couple words about the engineering breakout.
Hello, my name is Tarun. I'm a scientist by training, but we have been doing this engineering breakouts for almost a year and a half. We've been doing this every month. Last month we did fine-tuning. A month before we did MCPs and so on. How many of you think AI is still the buzzword? No, right? How many of you think, or how many of you applied AI in your work? See, I want you to come up here and teach others, or even teach me, how you applied AI. I want to learn. I want to be an elite AI engineer here. And if you want to be one of the AI elite engineers here, we do workshops every month and sign up to the AI engineering meetups. Thanks, Will.
Yeah, so we're excited about this. We are relaunching our engineering breakouts with a renewed vision to really create an elite core of AI engineers in Birmingham. We think that it's people like in this room today that are really going to lead the transformation that we're going to need to see in Birmingham over the next few years. And we want to like double click into the technical talent that we have here and say like, hey, let's share stories. How are we using this in our applications today? How are we pushing forward? We need all of these people in the same room. And so we're excited to do that. with the engineering breakout starting next Monday. All right, that's it for me. Something we really try to focus on here, just like Tarun said, is getting past the hype and getting to what's practical. And so today, the rest of the agenda really focuses on that. How can you go back into your businesses today and do something really practical? So I'm excited to welcome Andrew Mitchell to the stage.
The big one right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's been this increase in activity recently about CEOs flooding the newscape with all of these memos about making a public declaration on their use of AI, why AI matters, and what they want their people to think about AI. But it raises this really interesting question of what's our role in that? So let's talk about that today. I'm Andrew. I run a consultancy called Oplos Consulting. I help companies think through this question of how do we drive AI adoption? What are the guardrails that we need to put in place to make sure that we're not taking on unnecessary risk? How do we get the types of use cases in place that actually matter to our people? How do we roll this out in a way that everyone's actually using it? And this focus has really been formed over the last decade in the management consulting space, working with companies to roll out new ways of working. I had the pleasure during COVID of working with large hospitals to figure out how do we do work in the COVID era? How do we train our people? How do we deliver patient care? And taking this approach to AI, a lot of companies started coming over the last 2 or 3 years, asked this question of, okay, we get it, it's cool, but like, how do we get everyone else to think it's cool? And how do we get everyone else to actually use these things, right? So today we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. And the reason we're going to talk about that is because of this right here. The mission of Birmingham AI, as Will said, is really driving adoption for all. When we think about Birmingham, now this room is packed, and this room is always packed, and it is super exciting to see this room always packed. And there are other events in town. There was a great event last night about AI and marketing. But it's easy if you're in this room or if you're in this building or if you're in some of these events to kind of get caught up in this little bubble where you think that everyone is talking about AI when the data bears out a little of a different story. And so we'll talk about how we can actually start to drive real adoption and some roles that we can play here. The other mission, as Will mentioned at the top, and something that really resonates is AI happen for you, not to you, allowing AI to be a net job creator here in Birmingham. For that to happen, there's an active role to play. That's not just gonna happen, right? As leaders see the capabilities of these tools and the potential efficiencies that can come from these tools, it's gonna be very easy to think about, well, we don't need people anymore, right? We don't need our staff. So if we wanna see this become a net job creator, we know there's gonna be different types of jobs, new work needed, and there's a role we can all play in kind of helping to shape that. So I mentioned these CEO memos. That's kind of the framing for this. There's a lot of them out there. There's more and more it feels like that comes out each week. But they all have this kind of byline that's true or through line that's true in all of them, which is that the CEOs are talking to their people by way of these memos saying, you should use AI. You should care about AI. And that tells me something really interesting. Here's actually an example. Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, currently released a memo mid-June. And he has this line in his, so he talks about all the things that Amazon is doing around AI use. And we know that Amazon has been a big player in this space for a long time, from Alexa to all of their warehouse automation. But he has this line where he's, again, kind of giving this like coded message to his employees through this memo, where he's encouraging them to explore AI, attend workshops, learn, drive their own use of AI. And that tells me something, that even Amazon, one of these kind of big players in the AI space, is not really seeing the adoption internally of AI tools that they want. There's some data that bears this out. We've shown this chart a few times. I know Austin showed this last month in this session, and we've seen this kind of data a few different times. It's easy to think, again, if you're in this room, if you're in this building, that everyone is using AI. When we start to think about what's actually happening in organizations at work, the data shares a little bit of a different story. So this is just showing, do you use generative AI tools in your work, right? That's kind of the basis of this series of studies. Now, there's obviously a bit of an exponential growth curve that's starting to happen here, but we're still in the minority. So people in organizations actually using generative AI in their work, we haven't quite reached that inflection point yet. And so if you're sitting here today and you're saying, well, everyone knows so much about AI, I don't know anything, what is going on? I first want to make sure you hear very clearly one important thing, and that is you are not behind. The fact that you are here speaks volumes to the fact that you are on that cutting edge. You are interested, you are diving in, you are curious. And that's been a big part of what has driven the kind of differentiated use of these tools so far, that curiosity piece. So I want to start by posing an important thesis, if you'll allow me to be nerdy for a second here, which is there is a huge opportunity for each and every single one of you in this room to become the AI person in your organization, in your spheres of influence. If you're run your own company, if you work at a big company, if you're part of a big team, small team, whatever that might be, within your sphere of influence, there's a big opportunity for you to be that person. We'll talk a little bit about how to do that. So you're probably thinking, if I'm going to be the AI person, right, I've got to be an AI expert. Nope. You do not have to be an AI expert to be the AI person. We've seen, if you think about an adoption curve, right, when you have the early adopters, early majority, we can get into the debate of where you think we are in that curve. But one thing is clear is that there have been a lot of early adopters of AI who have done some really, really cool things that we have all seen and is blowing up our social media. And so it's really easy, again, to think that like everyone else is really further along. And there's all these like long-standing players in the AI space who have been doing this work for years and years and decades. And that's just not the case, right? Like you don't have to be an expert in this because we're all still kind of figuring this out. That's the reason why groups like Birmingham AI exist, so that we can start to figure this out together. I get a little chuckle to myself every time I see a posting for a chief AI officer role at an organization, and they're asking for 20 to 25 years of generative AI experience. What? Are you kidding me? I think what expertise looked like and looks like are very different. But it feels like there's more that we know, right? Or should know. Last month, Austin played a little clip from this video. I won't play the video today, just to say that if you haven't taken the time to watch the whole thing, highly recommend it. Ethan Mollick, great thought leader in the space around AI. But he talks about like there's this feeling that there's this handbook that I missed, right? Or like everyone else knows something that I don't when it comes to AI. And maybe that's just part of a new tool that's starting to really reach the forefront of adoption and usage, but that's not the case. There's no handbook that you missed. There's no secret that everyone else is in on that you are not. And one of the critical skills that up until this point has been really important for AI is just curiosity, right? Being curious about AI has been the kind of driver to make sure that you can use these tools and use them well. That's what a lot of these sessions are about. Tickle your brain a little bit and show you what's possible, right? But today marks a bit of a pivot in that. As we start to think about what does adoption for all in Birmingham look like, it's no longer thinking about curiosity from my use, but it's about how other people use AI. How are the people around me using AI? How can I start to, instead of just thinking about all the ways that I'm using AI and using these tools, pick my head up, look around the office, look around the room, and think about what other people are doing so that I can become that AI person. I want to be very clear. We'll talk a little bit about how to do this, some tactics. I'll go through all of that. This may not be for everyone in this room, right? Maybe you don't want to be the AI person. Maybe you don't want the spotlight. Maybe you don't want the pressure. But for those of you who do and want to level up, let me tell you, there has never been a better opportunity in history to be that person in your organization, that go-to person. Will asked at the beginning who's been here before or first time. Can I see just a quick show of hands if you've been here 3 or more times? Keep your hands up, that's fantastic. What about 4 or more times? 5 or more times? I see some people starting to count on their fingers. 6 or more times? Okay, you can put your hands down. That's a lot of you. I won't ask you to raise your hand to this next question, but for those of you who have been here like 5, 6 times, how many of you have shared with your colleagues what we talked about in these meetings? Oh, you are raising your hands. Perfect. Cool. That's awesome. I wasn't going to put you guys on blast, but you decided to put yourselves on blast, which is great. Don't raise your hand to this one. Let's just be clear on the instructions this time. How many of you are here secretly? Your team doesn't know where you are. Your boss doesn't know where you are. You just went off on, I've got a lunch meeting and I'll be back in the office, you know, some of you, right? If we want to see adoption increase, if we want to start to crank that growth curve up, there's some things we need to do to drive that. The first is informing the people around you that you are using AI, that you care about AI, and just building awareness. And the best way to do that is to carve out a really formal presentation for your team, carve out 30 minutes in a team meeting, get your slide deck ready. Nope, that's not how you do it. It's just a conversation, right? I don't need to give some formal presentation about AI. I just need people to know that I use AI, I care about AI. What do you think about AI? Are you using AI? How do we build that overall awareness of what is even possible? We know from the data, right? Not everyone is using AI at work. Of those who are using AI at work, there's even a smaller percentage who are using it every day. So it's easy, again, if you're in this room, if you're in this building, if you're around all of these AI folks to think that, oh, well, everyone knows about AI, everyone knows what it is, everyone knows how to use it. The data doesn't really bear that out. So how do you do that? What does it actually look like, right? It doesn't have to be anything fancy. The takeaway from everything I'm going to share today is that it is small things that you can do that have a big impact of setting you up as that AI person in your organization. Some of those conversation starters. Hey, are you using AI? What do you use it for? What works? What questions do you have? Here's something that I use AI for, which is kind of cool. And what do you think about this? Did you know that AI can do this? One time at Birmingham AI, Peter used Lovable and built a whole budgeting app in 10 minutes on stage. That's pretty cool. What do you think about that? Sharing the awareness, right? Just talking about it. That's the first step. This is kind of the table stakes piece. If you want to be that person, be that AI person in your org, the first step is this, just informing. The second step is inspiring, building excitement, right? This is kind of the secret sauce, right? Because using AI at work is super, super exciting, right? Yeah, maybe not. Chances are, when you first started using AI, it was not in your work, right? And so when you think about how do I get the rest of my team to start using AI, how do I get the rest of my team to be excited about using AI, I see this pitfall all the time, which is, I've been going to these Birmingham AI meetings, and we could really automate some of the work that we're doing right now and save us some time on the back end, and everyone would be super excited about that. And it's met with crickets, because maybe people aren't excited about their work. They start adding in something like AI, which is exciting, and I don't know, maybe that's not more exciting. But there is something that will excite someone about AI. When we think about the ways that people are using generative AI right now, some of you may have seen this. This is from Harvard Business Review that kind of looks at some of the top uses of generative AI. Most of these things are not work-related, right? These are personal things. When you first had that spark of for me, it was using deep research the first time to build out a March Madness algorithm, right? So I could win my bracket, which didn't pan out well at all, but that wasn't work-related, right? That was something else. That was something for me personally. So finding those things for your team that they care about, and then helping them think about how AI can do that. That's what this takes. I'm going to hang out here for just a second on this because this is small, but it's important, right? The really, how do you drive over that barrier of, yeah, I know about AI, yeah, played around with ChatGPT or whatever. How you get someone from I'm aware of this to I'm excited about this and I want to be a part of this is finding something that connects with them, with their excitement. And the things that excite you probably aren't the things that excite them, right? So use that curiosity that we talked about at the top about others to find those things that do excite them. What is it that you care about? Hey, I know that you like yard work and landscaping and you really love your garden. Did you know that you can generate images in ChatGPT of potential landscaping ideas using native plants, and you can try a few different things out and see what you want to build? Hey, I know you really love making cocktails. Have you ever just tried to ask ChatGPT to spit you out a cocktail recipe based on what you have in your cupboard right now? Or new recipes based on what you have in your cabinet at the moment? Finding those things that connect with someone else and show them what's possible and connect to the things they're already excited about is what we refer to as following the natural energy, right? I can't get someone over the hump necessarily of being excited about something if they're not excited about the thing to begin with. I said at the beginning, this may not be for everybody, but for those that want to be the AI person, this is the way to do it. And I'm going to go a step further and throw down a little gauntlet, a little challenge here. In a second, there's going to be a QR code on the screen, and I know everyone jumps into QR codes the second they appear. Let me tell you what it is before you do that. The challenge coming out of the session today is to do this. It is, before the next meeting, find 2 people in your team, in your life, in your work. Find out what it is they care about, and then find a way that you can use AI for that. Show that to them. If you want to participate in this challenge, feel free to scan the QR code right now. All this is going to do is ask you for your email, because in a couple of weeks, you're going to get a little nudge reminder from Austin and the team saying, hey, just don't forget, you said that you wanted to do this challenge. How's it going? Or have you done it yet? And then we'll collect some of that prior to the next meeting as well. So curiosity about others, right? This is really kind of where this comes in. This is the crux of that piece. Table stakes, talk about it, build awareness, going to the next level, right? Building excitement. The third step is instructing. So once you have informed people, they know that you care about AI, you've excited them, they're like, hell yeah, man, let's do this. I'm on board. The next thing is to build a course on AI for every... Nope. Don't do that. You can, don't get me wrong. If you really want to, go for that. But it doesn't take that, right? The final step is once someone is excited about something and they try it, we all know that we really hate being bad at something. And so if I'm a first-time user, you've gotten me excited about using an LLM, you've got me excited about using some sort of AI-enabled tool. The first time I try to use it, I hit a roadblock, and I say, well, this just isn't for me, right? So to kind of close that loop, it's showing someone like that first couple of times, well, here's how to think about this. Here's what this looks like, right? Maybe you're sharing, hey, you tried to do this, didn't quite work. Well, have you thought about changing your prompt to do this instead, right? Have you thought about reframing what you're trying to do? Or I see you were doing this, maybe just go click here, there's what you were looking for, right? Being that very, very informal teacher, if you want to use that word, helps, again, reinforce the learning, tie that kind of final feedback loop here. Excuse me. And there's an added benefit for you as well, which is, often the best way to learn something is to teach something, right? Your leaders, as you have these conversations, also kind of need to be brought along the journey as well. Chances are you're going to have questions as you're kind of like becoming the AI person. Again, big opportunity for you here. But questions like, what does this mean for our data? What does this mean for our cybersecurity, right? Like, what are some of the guardrails we need to have in place? By all means, start to have those conversations as well. But if you're not sure how to answer those, that's also where you have a room full of people here that can help with that. Folks like Austin, Darby, myself, who can help answer some of those questions, because that's what we do every day with leaders. But you need to have those conversations with your leaders too. Ooh, there's a laser on this. I'm so sorry. I just zapped you guys over there. You're already an expert in your work, right? Remember that first slide? I don't have to be an AI expert. Yeah, that's totally fine. You're an expert in the work that you do. You're an expert in your team and your people and what they care about. So all we're saying is just use that expertise to start building that next layer of how can we now use AI across our team? How can we use it in a way that people are excited about it, in a way that is meaningful? If you need more ideas, I also built a custom GPT that you can plug in. Hey, I'm trying to help my team get excited about X thing. Like, how can I do that? I think the link will be sent out with this when the slides and everything come out. So if you want some additional help and support, that is there for you, as well as, again, all of us here who are happy to help with that. So the last kind of thing here, right, is that adoption for all, as Will said. If you've been coming to these meetings, you've been sharing out, that's fantastic with your team. If you've been coming to these meetings and you've been kind of holding it really tightly and this is your secret monthly thing that you get to go to, think about opening it up. Think about sharing why you use AI, why AI is important to you. We are only going to see that mass adoption, the kind of 10x adoption that we care about, when everyone who's coming to a meeting like this can start in each of your own spheres of influence to be kind of the messenger, the beacon for everything that's happening within Birmingham AI. Hope you take the challenge. I'm excited to see where you guys excite your team members and inspire your team members come next meeting. Thanks so much.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is this microphone working? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Austin Senseman. I'm one of the founders of this event. Thank you all for being here. This is a community event. So, we are trying to put information in front of you to help you develop an informed perspective about what's going on. All right, and so, thank you guys. I just love this day every month. It's probably my favorite day of the month. And I hope it is for many of y'all. I heard there was no parking. Sorry about that, but that's just where we are with this meetup. So we have a little bit of time today to talk about some of the more technical aspects of how these models work. If you were here at our January meeting, I'm going to represent a couple of things we talked about then, and we're going to recontextualize them around some new things that are happening right now, okay? So really quick, we would love to just this is a one-question survey. I would love if everyone would just take this really quickly. We're really just trying to get a pulse on how you feel about this event. And we have a new director who we're going to introduce in a minute. And this kind of feedback's really important for us as a leadership team, just to understand how we're doing. All right, so thank you all for taking a second to do that. All right, cool. One observation that I have made recently is the things that we think of as prompting hacks or techniques, things we have to do to get the model to act the way we want. Those things that are hacks end up becoming the capabilities of the new models. And it might not be immediately clear what I mean by this, but I want to unpack this for you because I think it'll help us understand what is coming, okay? And we have this framework that we borrowed from OpenAI, and we've kind of added some to it. They outlined 5 different capability levels of AI. So the first one is basically ChatGPT from 2 years ago, and that one is completely solved. Reasoning AI, that came out toward the end of last year. So these are some of the new thinking models, and we'll look at that for a bit. And then the third level, which we're sort of in the middle of now, is agentic AI, or this is AI that can go and essentially ask it to go work, and it's doing some work for you, and it's coming back with an answer, more human-like tasks. So we just want to show this from time to time in these meetings so you can sort of keep up with the progress. For example, when we first showed this on this third level, it was at 0%, right? We really hadn't made any progress on this 12 months ago, and now we feel like we're about halfway through it, okay? By the way, we send out all the slides after the presentation, so you'll get them in your inbox, okay? So when we talk about that second level, the reasoning models, we call these the thinking models. In ChatGPT, this is what this looks like, all right? A lot of people don't know up here at the top that ChatGPT has many different models in it. And it's a bit of an alphabet soup of really bad naming conventions. But the models that matter for us here are 4.0, which is the default model. So if you go into ChatGPT and you just start working, that's probably what you're working with. And the one that we're going to talk about for a minute here is 0.3. And to outline the differences in these models, 4.0 is a non-reasoning model. And the way to think about it is when you ask it a question, it immediately starts answering your question. All right? And so it's fast in that way. A lot of problems, though, especially more complicated problems that you as a human might need to think through, it would be helpful if the model thought about them some before they answered. And that is what a model like 0.3 does, which you can see here. It's doing some thinking about this. Now, I asked it to think a little bit about it. I didn't need to do that, right? If I'm using this 0.3 model, it will think about things before it answers, okay? I hear from a lot of people, I use ChatGPT and it can't do this thing well. And I ask them, well, which model are you using? And they say, what are you talking about? I encourage you to go try this with people. Most people do not know that there are other capabilities in here. And I'm going to show you some graphs about different capabilities in these things that outline just how different these models are and what they can do. All right? So when I was saying the prompting hacks of today are the capabilities of tomorrow, this is an example of this from last year. So when you were using 4.0 last year, before the thinking models came out, there was a very popular hack, which was to encourage the model to stop and think one step at a time. Now, this model couldn't think. We didn't even know what thinking models were. But people realized that when you did this, you tended to get some better results. What you were doing is you were sort of encouraging it to act this way. Fast forward to the end of last year, the beginning of this year, and you didn't really need to do any of this. That's thinking down there, I guess. Sorry, missed a G. But the model just does this by default now, right? Not 4.0, but if you use 0.3, you don't have to tell it to think, right? So there was this whole little industry about teaching people how to encourage these things to think and get them to work better. And then fast forward, and that's just what the models do, okay? So I want to talk a little bit, just to give you some context, about the difference in the model of what 4.0 is and what this new model 0.3 is, okay? So we're going to look at 0.1 here, and I'm going to throw some numbers up on the board, but I'll try to contextualize them for you. This is a math exam, okay? This is really hard math problems. And GPT-4o gets about 13% of these right. And so from about 2000, let's see, from like 2022, 23, 24, we really could never barely crack 10% on this thing, all right? And then all of a sudden at the end of last year, we're getting in the 80s. O3, the newest model, gets like 95% of these right. So we went from basically not being able to do this at all to basically being able to do it perfectly. And same thing for coding benchmarks. So GPT-4o can get 11% of these right, then all of a sudden, these new models get them all right. Okay? So when I ask somebody which model are they using, and they say, I'm not sure what you're talking about, you see how different this can be depending on the type of work you're doing. Right? One of them can't do it at all. One of them can do it perfectly. Right? It's a big difference. All right? And this was sort of the big question at the beginning of this year. If you were following along, a lot of the chatter was, have we stalled out? Okay? Because at the end of last year, this was the trend we were on. GPT 3.5 came out in December of 2022, 4.0 came out, and people kind of thought this was what was happening. This is a graduate level knowledge exam. And when these new models came out, 01, 03, all of a sudden we realized, oh no, we aren't stuck, we're actually accelerated, okay, in what's possible. And this is going to be the most technical slide on here, okay, but it's really important. So what they discovered at OpenAI, and now lots of other labs have copied this, what they initially discovered in 2022 was the more that we train a model, so the bigger a model gets, right? You hear them saying, oh, we're training an even bigger model now. So the more we train it, the better it performs, okay? So this is the same math exam. So they train bigger and bigger models, they perform better and better and better, okay? That was the story in GPT 3.5, 4, and 4.0, okay? But they realized that it was kind of slowing down. So what they discovered next, test time compute, is this technical word that means how much do you let it think, okay? And what they realized is the more you let it think, meaning I ask it a question, you think about it, again, the performance goes way up, okay? So this was really important. This was the most important AI discovery of last year. These are called the scaling laws. We train the models more, they get better. We let them think more, they get better, okay? So the moment we're at right now is, well, okay, what's next? We're training bigger models, that's kind of slowing down. We're letting them think more, that's kind of, I mean, it's still moving up, but it's going to be slowing down a little bit. So what happens next? Just a little context for this. This was a ARC AGI exam, which said if you could get over 80 or 85% in this, that we would consider your model to be artificially generally intelligent. All right? And the O3 model did this, and this was beginning of this year. All right? A PhD student could do this for $10 a task, and it costs the AI like $5,000 a task. So much better to just let a person do this at this point. But I want you to see how different this was. The 4.0 model isn't even on here. Okay? The 4.0 model was getting like 0% on this exam. And then in the course of like 3 months, we went all the way to the top. Okay? It's a part of why this meeting has gotten more popular this year, whether you realize it or not, is that the capabilities of AI have grown dramatically in the last 6 months, and the world is responding to that a bit. Okay. So here's a bit of what I think is happening right now. There is a prompt hack, not really a hack, it's just like a new way of prompting that I'm realizing most people haven't seen before. And it's this idea where I'm going to ask the AI to simulate a conversation between a panel of experts, okay? And what I am trying to get it to do, really, is to set up multiple agents. So imagine you're solving a problem at work. Well, the compliance department's there, the marketing department's there, right? The whatever, fill in the blank, right? There are 4 people sitting around a table who all bring very different perspectives, skill sets, experiences to a problem, and you're going to talk about it for a while, and then from that you're going to decide what to do, okay? So this has become sort of a prompting technique in the era that we're in right now, because by default, the models do not do this. They think, but they sort of think from a perspective. But we can encourage them to do something else. And where I think we're going, and we just saw this in the new Grok 4 model, I'm going to show you how it works in a minute, is you're not going to need to do this anymore. I think this will become the new paradigm for how the models work, which is they will spin up these sub-agents by default to do work. All right? So let's look at what this looks like in the prompt. So most models aren't doing this by default right now, so this is actually still a really good prompting technique to know and to understand and to use. This is a very simple version of it, right? You tell the AI that you're the moderator of a panel of experts. Here are all the experts. Now, each one of these descriptions of an expert can be a page long, right? Here's who you are, here's the way you think, on and on and on and on. I would like you to simulate these people talking for an hour about something and basically synthesize all their perspectives and give me a report that integrates all this information together and gives me the full range of opinions. This came up in a meeting I was at last night because someone was working in the legal field, and they were saying that it was producing something that was missing sort of a legal perspective on certain things. And I suggested that they try to get multiple agents to bring their opinions to that topic, and they hadn't tried that. And I think that would have solved their problem that they had, okay? So you can try that, okay? Grok 4, this is the new Elon Musk model. There's all sorts of headlines, okay, to talk about this thing. Most of them problematic, but they released a version on like their more expensive plan called Grok 4 Heavy, which sounds like one of his rockets, actually. But this is a multi-agent version of Grok. So here's what this thing does. You ask it a question and see if this sounds familiar from what I just described. It's going to spin up a number of agents that go and work on the problem on their own and then come back together to compile the answer. Okay? So it turns out when they did this, this is O3. So this is the thinking model, right? But it's just one agent thinking about it. This is one of the new benchmarks that hasn't been beaten yet. Okay? So O3 on its own, 25%. A single agent model. A multi-agent model almost doubles that. Okay? So OpenAI is going to come out with a multi-agent model, I'm sure, in the next couple months. And it's going to be at the top of this, okay? I'm suggesting in the meantime that if you don't know or if you haven't tried using this multi-agent panel of experts prompt, that you play around with it, okay? It will give you a preview into what's coming, and it will also improve your prompting right away, okay? But yeah, this is a big deal. I mean, just in the last couple months, this is the most important benchmark, I think, right now, as far as the frontier capabilities of these models. And we just doubled it, so it's pretty cool. OK, so this is a little bit of a lead-in. We talk a lot about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, sort of these LLM chat experiences here. Next month, we are going to do a deep dive into an automation platform called N8N. We're doing this because people like Pete and other people. I've gotten so many questions about this piece of software in the last month, yeah, that we are going to go and just spend 45 minutes and just get into it and show you the whole thing. Who's used Zapier before? OK, great. So if you haven't used Zapier, it's a workflow tool. Data comes from this system. We do something to it. We send it to this other system. This is that tool, but built sort of natively for AI. And so you can sort of see it in the background here, where something comes in and an agent looks at it. It has access to a bunch of tools, and it can decide what to do with it. It can call other agents. It can do a lot of this stuff. So I think it's a good follow-on from Andrew's talk, because this is one of these tools where if you feel like you've gotten pretty far along in using a tool like ChatGPT, this is probably the next thing for you and your organization to really start to affect change and do more in the organization. Okay? So I'll be doing that next month. All right, cool. So just really quick in between, now that you know N8N is the topic, if that's just really motivated you to come next month, here's the sign up again. All right, cool, thank you. So this is a big day for us here, all right? Will and I have been putting in 10 or 15 hours a month between us probably for the last couple of years. And as of a couple weeks from now, we're going to have someone working on this all the time. So, so it's a transition. You know, this meeting, look around, this meeting seems to be going pretty well. We have some ambitions to 10x the amount of engagement with this group. We just feel like there's that big of a need in our community for this. And so that's going to be kind of our next big challenge. And I'll have this mystery guest come up here and explain that in a minute. But yeah, it's a time of transition for us. And so I want to say, seriously, thank you, right? Yes, we've gotten up here every month, but you have shown up every month, right? And it means a lot to us. We think this is really important, not just as a technology, but we think this is a really important moment for the way people work, the way people live, the way we interact with each other. For all the good and bad of social media, this is probably 100 times, more impactful in every direction than that, okay? So we're glad you're here. This is our new director. So why don't you come on up? Brad. You're hooked up?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, cool. Thanks. This is William Glass. We were looking for somebody who had startup experience, who also had a heart for Birmingham and wanted to lead this community forward. So I'm going to get off the stage and let him introduce himself.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
All right.
Yeah, hi everyone. That's me, believe it or not, back in the day. But really excited to be here. Look at the room around, just look at how many people are out here. And this is why I'm excited to be able to step into the role as director, is to take the room that we have here, all of you, and 10x this. How do we get into the rooms that you're in outside of this one, right? How do we have this impact? And that's why I'm really passionate about it. You can feel the energy in here. I've not been to many events in Birmingham where people are here more than 30 minutes early, already seated, and the room's packed out. And I think that says something about what's going on here in this community and what we want to expand to the rest of the world, the rest of the city. I'm William Glass, the new director. This is me. I grew up in Birmingham because I have the obligatory mullet photo as a kid. So that's why that's here, just to show the connection to the city. Yes, this is the vision, right? We want Birmingham AI to help our big tower here in downtown Birmingham. No, we want Birmingham AI to hit the goals that we've set out, which is first reach that 2,500 members. Right now, we're reaching about 250 people a month, and we want to 10x that. We want to have adoption for all, right? Not leaving behind. If you look across this room, look at the diversity, the age, the backgrounds, ethnicities, people from all different walks of life. It's not just a tech meetup. And that's what's so exciting about this community and what we're trying to do. So again, just to reiterate what our goals are, right, is to activate this network. How do we go to the communities that y'all are in outside of this room and have an impact there as well? In your businesses, your organizations, where you worship, all of those places. We're looking to build more partnerships, right? So we want more folks to get involved, more organizations. Develop revenue streams. My background is in startups, so have been working with growth stage startups for pretty much my entire career. Ended up working with working at an AI company. This was the 2014 to 2016 vintage, so very different than what they look like today. And then have been in fintech and lived in New York City for the last 5 years before moving back about 2 years ago. And I wanted to leave Birmingham. That was my goal when I graduated high school, was to leave Birmingham. And I'm so excited to be back because of everything that's happening. And I want to make sure that we develop the people, the talent, the communities that we have here. And last but not least is, again, just lead through this passion that I have for the city and for what all I believe we can accomplish, and the vision of what Birmingham can be through this organization and all of you and what you guys are doing with AI. So I need your help though, right? This is a community. It's not about me. It's not about Austin. It's not about Will. It's about all of us and what we can do together. So I need you. White Chicks, great movie. But we do have one problem, right? I want to get in touch with all of you. I want to have a conversation. But the issue is Will at Birmingham AI and William at Birmingham AI, they just don't mesh, right? So we have two Wills. And the first thing is I want to know, how should you get in contact? So we're going to do a very, very high-tech version of voting, which is a hand raise. So we have option 1, which is initials at birminghamai.org, or first.last for Will and I. So go ahead and take a second. If you're in favor of option 1, please raise your hand. Okay. If you're in favor of option 2, please raise your hand. All right, I think that was an overwhelming majority there. So we're going to go first.last. So please send me an email, wglass@birmingham.ai. I'll show up a slide next meeting as well, and I think we'll send it out afterwards of how you can get into contact with me. I'd love to have coffee, lunch, a Zoom call, whatever it is, and learn how you're using AI, what are the needs that you have, and how can we reach the communities, whether it's your organization, again, the place that you worship, or other places that you're part of. Ultimately, how can we help other people figure out how this technology is going to impact all of the future of Birmingham and do it for the better? So that's all I've got. I think, Will, Austin, anything else? Did we want to put slides back up? One more time? There we go. Yes, so please make sure that you sign up. And like I said, we would love to hear more from you about what do you want outside of this one awesome meeting a month? How can we expand this? And who's interested in helping us grow in terms of more meetings like this in your communities? Awesome. Thank you.
Racing to the parking lot.